Hello everyone. It's Valentine's Day here in Australia.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
Mario.
I'm Whooper.
So today we're gonna do the mid-season check-in for the uh for the winter 2021 anime. So we're gonna do in the five show that we're still following, and after that we do the new manga Spirit Circle Volume One.
Hmm.
So these five shows are gonna be Wonder Egg Priority episode 2 to 5, Kemono Kemono Jihen 2 to 5, SK8 the Infinity 2 to 6, Horimiya 2 to 6, and the same for 243, the Volleyball Pros.
Right. That's a lot of episodes, man. Ever since
That's
we
a lot of
stopped,
business.
covering series week by week, and shifted to a different format where we talk about a wider variety of things, these mid-season and like wrap up episodes that we do for the seasonal stuff are pretty overwhelming. Like if you're not following them week to week to begin with, like if you have to cram a
Hmm.
whole bunch of material. But
Yeah, that's
I
true.
actually am following most of these. No, three of these five week to week.
Hmm, that is impressive. And actually, this is a really good season for anime, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, I was really high on it when it started, but now there's some shows
Yep,
falling off.
yep.
It's
I,
it's
I
still fine, you know. Actually,
it's
one of
it.
my favorite. Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say about eh?
Yeah, I just say that it's still fine. Like we got like we covering the original shows for the postcard, but there's a whole lot of sequels in this season as well.
Yeah, and I actually am watching one of them that we're not talking about today that I think is really
Right.
good.
That you think is really good. Is it Yuru Camp?
I actually was not. I mean, I do like Eurocamp, but I was actually not referring to Eurocamp.
Is it ReZero too?
It is not. It's Attack on
Uh,
Titan.
wow. Is it getting good?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, in my opinion, the
Nice.
show's not good or bad. I just
Yep.
am enjoying this season. I got caught up. I think I mentioned that to you a
Hmm.
while ago that I was gonna get caught up on Attack on Titan, and I did.
Well,
And now like I assume that you don't know.
I
You
don't know.
you haven't read the manga or anything.
I haven't read the manga. I haven't watched a single episode in the final season. I want to wait until it's all there for
Yeah.
me to binge watch.
Yeah, that's actually a really good decision because I watched the 9 currently available episodes of Attack on
Uh-huh.
Titan season 4 all over the course of 2 days, and now I have to
Wow.
wait like everyone else for the next one. And it
Oh,
feels bad because I feel like this is the kind of show that's mostly plot driven, you know,
yep.
and I,
Yep.
I just want to see what happens next. I don't really care
Hmm.
if it's particularly good looking or like emotionally involving or anything like that. I just want to know what happens. So
I
yeah,
think it's really good that you turn back on this. Like I remember you wrote it off before, so it is really good that you give it the second, third chance, and
I
really
pick up
enjoying it.
I pick up dropped stuff all the time actually.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
That's
I'll take
true.
entire batches of shows that I've dropped in the past and like try them all out, you know.
Hmm.
Try a bunch of them out at once to see if I want to pick any of them back up. And recently Attack on Titan was one of those. It was pretty
Yeah.
good. But Attack on Titan not the best show of the season.
Hmm.
That's I
We
think one of the 5 shows that we're going to talk about in
yeah.
just a moment here.
I think we're gonna save that for or you want to lead into that?
Well, I mean, it's up to you. You did the intro this week,
All right.
and so you pick dealer's choice.
All right. So let's go with uh the one that I don't really have a high opinion of first.
Oh, okay. Which one's that?
Let's go with 243. L- uh, the full name is Saint Coco Nancy Volleyball.
Right. Yeah.
Oh God.
Sane High School Volleyball Club.
Yep.
No, more specifically because Danchi is in the title. That means boys.
Yep.
Seine High School Boys Volleyball Team or Boys Volleyball Club.
Good job.
And then the
Actually,
2.43 we learned in one of these episodes, I think episode 3, it has to do with how many meters
mhm.
the net is. How many meters above the floor
Yeah,
the top of the net is.
I think that's a really good metaphor. Like a 243, it's like the light the light between the two teams. It's like the height that they have to go over. I think it's a good metaphor for the title. It's just the thing that come afterwards is as generic as it gets.
You're more interested in the net than in the volleyball team itself. I mean,
Actually,
with
that's
character
correct.
writing like
Yes.
this, I can't blame you. Um,
God.
I did like
Um.
episode 3, actually, the one specifically where we learn the significance of 2.43 meters. That's the one where, because episode 2 crams an entire middle school tournament into
Yep.
one episode, and then there's
Yep.
the dramatic breakup between the two like stars of the volleyball team. So
Mhm.
episode 3 like kind of resets. It hits the reset button, and it gives us a new character to latch onto, the captain of the high school team.
Yep.
And I think that the use of the 2.43 meter like symbol,
Mhm.
which is an indication of how seriously he takes volleyball, because he
Mhm.
sets the net at that height even when he's not required to,
Yep.
like just for practice or just for like a sports day,
Yep.
with casual matches. He still sets the net to the proper height.
Mhm.
That kind of gives you some insight into his character and how seriously he's approaching this final year as part of the volleyball team, and
Ye-
it makes his interest in Haijima believable.
mhm.
Like he wants this really talented player, no matter what it's going to cost. Like because
Yep.
he's an abrasive figure. So I did like episode 3 in terms of character building, but as like before that point and after that point, I think the show has suffered.
Oh my God. I want to bring up the point that the captain he shot as well. So like setting the net height is kind of you know um bring up to the point that he's serious about his volleyball.
Right. It has additional significance for him because of his
Yep.
own like
Yep.
lack of height. Yeah.
Yep. So what exactly is the problem with that you have with the shows?
What's the problem? I don't know. Like the characters, I would say I guess the conflicts are introduced really quickly and then resolved really quickly. I don't feel
Oh
as
my
though
God.
the show takes the time to use its conflicts in order to like really um, put two different characters together and like watch them butt heads and then watch them like change as a result. I feel it,
That's
especially
right.
in episode 5, like that's the one where they
Mhm.
go to Tokyo.
Mhm.
Um, there's a conflict between Haijima and Uni. So those are the two freshmen on this high school volleyball team
Mhm.
who are childhood friends and who have like a checkered past, I guess.
Mhm.
Because Haijima has really high expectations for him, and he's not always clear about what he's thinking or feeling. So Uni misunderstands him, et cetera, et cetera. So they get into a fight, and then after this brief verbal spat, Hajima's like, "That's it. I'm going back to Tokyo.
Yep.
I'm through with you and all your crap and this team out here in the boonies. I'm going back to Tokyo." And then then when
But
they're on, and then
but that
for
wasn't the
some
case.
reason, Uni tags along,
Yep.
even though they've just had a fight, like a fight significant enough for Haijima to be like, "I'm literally leaving and going back to Tokyo."
Well, but the thing is like afterward the show frame that is not the case. That was Hachima was just like what you were talking about. I just want to go back to Tokyo uh to see my old friends.
Yeah, but what old friends? Like he was kicked out basically because he assumes that
Yep.
everyone hates him because he this kid was like committed suicide or tried to commit suicide as a result of his harsh methods.
Yeah.
So what's left for him in Tokyo? Like if this fight between him and Uni is serious enough that he's going back to a place where he's not welcome, then it must be a super serious fight that they just had. But no. Uni tags along, and then on the train ride on the way there, their perspectives literally flip. And Hajima's like, maybe we shouldn't go through with this. And Uni's encouraging him and egging him on, like, no, you've come this far. You have to see this through. It just makes no sense whatsoever. The goal is just for Hajime to learn that this, it wasn't a real suicide attempt, and the show will use any means necessary to reach that endpoint.
Yeah, and it happened all over the place. It's like, I remember like in one of the episodes, I think it's the end of episode 3, that we see Uni meeting his one of his cousins, and they get into the fight.
That was the end of episode 4.
3, is it? Or 4?
Mm-hmm.
That's just one of these 4, I think. And I remember like the cousin tell him to, like just run away, like you don't have to deal with it. And instead of helping him out, instead of, like doing it, he run away. And then it cut back to the next, like next episode scene that they have been expelled because he was involved in the fight. It's just making no freaking sense.
Well, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. For me, the worst part of that entire story arc, I guess, or that plot was that the timing, I guess, or the storyboarding, whatever you want to call it, of the end of episode 4, the post-credit sequence, was bizarre. Like Uni sees his cousin Yori getting beaten up outside the bowling alley, and his cousin's like, "Don't get involved," like you said, and then we see Uni looking like terrified, and then the very next we smash cut to him running like on a road in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
What that transition right there just makes, that's the most frustrating part for me, because I didn't understand why didn't he run, even if he didn't want to get involved in the fight, run inside the bowling alley, use their phone and call the cops. This would have been possible even in a world before cell phones.
That's right. And even then, like the next episode, they treated that like nothing, like they just skip the whole thing. And I don't even know why Uni just doesn't want to say that his cousin, the other one, just slapped him.
Yeah. Well, actually, I wasn't even sure if that was true.
For the sake of drama. Right.
Did she actually slap him, or was that an excuse that she made in order to get him off the hook so that the volleyball team could compete?
Yeah, well, we did see that. We did see that she slapped him and he fall off the stairs. So yes, that
in a flashback we saw her actually hit him.
No, it's not in the flashback. It's like it happening before he encountered his male cousin.
Oh, that's right. That did happen at the bowling alley because she was embarrassed or something. Oh no, because her girlfriends assumed that Uni, like she was going out with Uni, or she brought her boyfriend.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah, I didn't make that connection. Probably because of that weird cut at the end of episode 4, where like that it completely ignored time and space and all laws of like sequencing, a piece of film.
Yeah, well, it's a weird the way they construct the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The point is that we're not supposed to see, like, that scene is not supposed to be easily resolved. I guess there's supposed to be some confusion about how he got the bruise.
Yep.
So that his refusal to talk about it will like generate suspense in the viewer's mind in episode 5, and that'll provide grounds for the team not to be able to compete. And this is something that Volleybros has not been explicit about, and I think that's because in Japan this culture of like athletes needing to be totally virtuous is
Uh-huh.
like something that's widely understood. For you and me, we might not
Mm-hmm.
get it, I guess, but this is something I've picked
Mm-hmm.
up on very lightly in other sports anime. Volleybois might be the one that's the most overt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if like a member of a sports team in a high school is found to have like been fighting or I don't know, drinking or
Yep.
doing drugs or having
Mm-hmm.
like a part-time job when the school forbids that or anything like that, it's that person is subject to discipline, but also the entire team can be
Mm-hmm.
suspended, like we saw in this episode. Um, and so
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was one other episode where that came in like, oh yes, it was the most recent episode,
Oh.
episode 6, I think, where Auta or
Yep.
whatever, the tall guy, he pretends to have taken video footage of the guy from the rival school. And then immediately, like, their attitude completely changes because they think that he's got dirt on them and that if he exposes them, their team won't be able to compete.
Yep. Oh
So
my God.
that's like that expectation for high school athletes is what's being like is the foundation of some of these scenes.
Yeah.
Um,
And they have to bow down for that
right.
to apologize.
Yeah,
It
Dogeza.
just
Yeah.
it's just hard to watch. God. And I mean like I don't I feel like there is inconsistencies in like the character development. Like for Uni, for example, like at this point I still don't really know who he is because he's like inconsistent all over the place, all over the world.
Yeah, I would agree that we don't have a strong sense of who he is as an individual. I think that's because his character is totally dependent on Hajime for
Yep.
context. Like
Mm-hmm.
what we
Mm-hmm.
know about Uni has to do with his relationship to Hajime. Like he hates Hajime, now he loves Hajime, now he wants to know how many pairs of underwear Hajime packed for their training camp. Um,
Ha ha
now
ha.
Hajime is ignoring him and not giving him like prime practice time, spiking his sets, and he's like, why aren't you doing that? Hajime
Yep.
could clear that up for
I
him, but
don't
he doesn't because misunderstandings are the easiest way to write anime scripts.
and I think that is the problem with the show so far that it relies too much on Hajime. Like even the captain want to get Hajime in because he's special. Every other team member like they just looking up Hajime as like the ultimate weapon. Even other team when they when they watch the video about seeing a school, they just all they remember is Hajime. They
Yeah.
just Hajime. It just
Yeah.
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely agree that that is a problem, but in a sense, that's quite realistic, because
Right.
in high school athletics, there is usually like one player that is really
Yep.
gifted, and since it's high school
Yep.
sports, everybody else is a kid, and they basically suck. And the one really really talented player puts the team on their back. And so, I mean, obviously, you want to do it more like a Haikyuu sort of situation where Kageyama is a genius, but you still want to learn about everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's the better way to go
We
about things.
yeah we actually see him improving like other aspect. Not in this case with Hajime and even to Uni.
Well, yeah, Uni is pretty boring. He's like a cardboard type of
I,
character.
I I don't even know like how talented he is in volleyball
Well, the
because
show
we
makes it
see
pretty
like the
clear
whole
that he's the ace. Like he's the number one spiker.
yeah. It's just like the whole we have like the whole act of him in the middle school. He got a fright over playing a rematch, and then we got the same thing happen when they do the challenging match. Before it turned out that he pretend to lose. It oh my god, all the
Yeah.
twists here is just so stupid.
Yeah, the pretending to lose, throwing the match in order to get Hajime on the team. I thought that was an interesting twist, and it could have packed, the reveal could have been much more impactful. But you know it wasn't, because Uni can't really carry that sort of twist. His character isn't equipped for that. Even his voice actor's performance kind of sounds unsure, and I don't know if that's how
Yep.
he's being directed, like because he is sort of a nervous character who lacks confidence. Maybe that's the way that the director is telling him to perform. But even if that's the case, like the effect is not a desirable one. He's just kind of, wishy-washy and not interesting to follow. Like the whole show is not really that interesting to follow.
I agree. And I for me, like the episode 6, which I just watched, it's just a nail in the coffin because it changed perspective again.
Yeah.
They did that in episode 3, and now they do that again. And I don't really find all these new characters to be that interesting to follow. Well, the main characters are not that interesting to follow to begin with. Um, I don't know if I want to give this, like some more episode to watch.
Yeah. I think I am actually going to keep watching it, but that's only because of the mood that I'm in. Like, I'm in a pretty anime watching mood right now. Like, I don't mind keeping up with stuff on a week-by-week basis.
Cool.
So I probably will keep
Salute.
watching it, but I don't think the show's good by any means. This is like a Hoshiai no Sora type of situation, except not nearly as promising at the start.
It's-
Like the train wreck has already happened, and we're only halfway through.
Except the other show is, I think, is much better at like at creating conflict and at the characters and at the sport itself. I think that Hoshio no Sora it's just better than this show in every single elements.
I mean, you say that, but that's only because time heals all wounds. When we were watching Hoshiai no Sora week to week, and all of the characters had issues with their mothers and had all been abused in some way,
We did
that was
complain about
not
that,
good
maybe.
conflict generation. That was not, that was not good
Yep.
or believable plotting. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
Especially
that
the
show
last one.
was way more promising and way more interesting, at least at the beginning. But
Yep. I think I understand what you mean. The way the both show like create unnecessary conflict, too big of the drama for for the show itself.
yeah.
It doesn't match very well with the sport. The more lighthearted scenes.
Well, sports don't necessarily have to be lighthearted, but if you're not gonna make it like a half comedy, then
Yep.
and the drama has to be, I don't know, good. your, your characters,
yeah.
your characters,
I
you have to be
agree.
ready for your characters to carry your show. It's just not happening here.
All right. So let's move on to the next shows.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Horimiya.
All right. I'm a little bit disappointed by Horimiya, I have to be honest.
Wow. Okay, tell me more about that.
This most recent episode 6, like
Yep.
the dad, like the episode being bookended by the dad at the
Right.
start and the scenes of the dad at the end. Like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to get out of those scenes. The dad is a goofball. He's really
Yep.
silly, and that seems to be all that there is to him. I mean, I guess my frustration is that there's obviously more to this situation. Like when Miyamura stays over at their house, he sleeps in a guest room with the dad. So the dad is not, he's not staying, he's not sleeping in the same bed as his wife.
Yep.
And obviously his daughter is very conflicted in terms of her feelings about her father.
Yep.
Because she's watching a series of horror films where the daughter's trying to kill the dad. She's like physically abusive towards him in funny anime comedy ways in episode 5, but that clearly demonstrate that she's not a big fan of this guy. She calls him by his first name instead of dad or
I
daddy or anything like that.
I think the last 2 episodes have been playing for laugh for now as as her dad. It's not like the real member of the family.
Yeah, I
But
don't think that's
yeah, I
funny.
agree that
That's
yeah,
sad.
well, that really sad. I actually think the show um gonna focus more on that. Gonna tell us more about their relationship later on. But for now, it's like more as like oddball.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's inappropriate. And the reason that I feel that way, I guess, is because in general, this show moves pretty quickly. Like the relationship between the
Mm-hmm.
two main characters was established pretty fast. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
I actually like that.
yeah, I don't mind it. Other stuff happens pretty quickly as well. Like, we haven't gotten scenes of them in a couple episodes now, I guess. But like,
Mm.
Miyamura's friend group, even though he was like a lonely loser sort of character,
Mm.
has expanded pretty rapidly.
Yep.
It's not just purple-haired bro Ishikawa or whatever his name is. Now he's friends with Hori's friend, the blonde
Yep.
girl, plus the student council. He's in with them. There's that whole scene in episode 4, I think it was, where there's that misunderstanding
Yep.
about like, Ishikawa thinks that what they're talking about has to do with the fact that he and Hori had hooked up, but really they weren't talking about that at all. The translation there is very clunky. It would be difficult for me to go into why that is exactly, but I mean, like don't you feel in general that the show moves like it moves through time pretty fast? It like in one episode, a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks will go by.
Mm-hmm.
It's like presenting
Yeah.
snapshots from the characters' lives, and I don't need multiple snapshots of Daddy Dearest being just
Ignored.
yeah, like deflecting the issues that he's created in his own family with humor. I don't need to see that multiple times. I mean, we've already gotten much heavier stuff from
Yep.
Hori about like her mom not being around. I don't know if you remember
Mm-hmm.
the scene where she
Yep.
was sick and
Yep.
she was like calling out for her mom and essentially addressing Miyamura as her mom,
Mm-hmm.
saying like, "Why are you never around? Why weren't you there for me?" That's what I want, I guess. If I had to say
Mm-hmm.
overall, like what my issue is, I'm for the show to be lighthearted is fine, but when it approaches serious topics, I would like it to be a bit more serious.
Yeah, there's a couple points that I want to bring up.
Okay.
First is the name. The name of the show is Horimiya. And do you see the poster of it? Because I'm looking at the poster right now, and it's featured like 9 faces,
Yeah.
9 different characters in the poster.
Yeah.
So that pretty much telling something because the name of the show is about the two main characters and basically their relationship. But the focus of the poster is not only around them, but like the side character as well.
Yeah, I definitely have
And
noticed that, it's the two main characters that I'm here for. Like, I don't really care about any of the other ones.
yeah, yeah, that exactly my feeling about this show right now because when it come to the two characters and their growing relationship, I'm all in, and I actually feel that they have like a really good pace because they clearly there is clearly a development in their relationship. They grow closer to each other. For other character, I just like leave it or take it.
Yeah.
Especially like in episode 6 when we have like another new characters and
The girl who looks like the
the
girl from Bunny
girl.
Girl Senpai.
Yeah, true, and it just turned out that she have a crush on Hori instead of Mia, and it's the whole quirky thing that I don't really care for.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I would agree that I don't really care for it. I'm not really that interested in it. I thought it was okay. Like the show actually got me.
Yeah.
When
Hmm.
she was like being a stalker and coming up to Miyamura and being like, "When are you gonna break up with Hori-san, you know.
Yep.
I thought that she actually did like Miyamura, and the reason I thought that was because like the timing of her appearance was pretty clever because it's right after he cuts his hair, and it turns out that he's like a total babe.
Yep.
And so this girl is approaching him, and you're like, oh shit, here we go again, you know.
Yep.
he's
Yep.
he's just an ikemen hottie, and she wants him, but no, it's actually the opposite. You know, she's into Hori-san. So the show like did manage to trick me, which I see that as a win, I guess. Like,
Well, I like her as the characters. It just she not the focus on this show. You know what I mean. Like for other shows like Kaguya-sama, I really enjoy all these side character stories. Not so much in this case. I really like the fact that they focus more on the side characters, but yeah.
yeah,
In,
like for
in
example, in Kaguya-sama, the way that they introduced Miko Ino, the brown-haired girl in season 2, they like really dug into that character, and
Right.
so they dedicated like an entire episode to her. You know, the kind of treatment that she received in elementary and middle school, and how that carried over to her mentality in high school. And at the same time, we also got like little glimpses of her interacting with all the main cast at various points throughout episodes leading up to that big debate episode. So they did a really excellent job actually at integrating her into the story. And in this one, it just seems like this is the what was her name? I wrote it down.
Sawada, Honoka Sawada.
Yeah, that's right. Honoka, that's right. This was the Honoka episode.
Yeah.
And now she
Well, I
just
like her
is
though.
part of the show. Like, I don't know. I'm not really
Yeah.
convinced by that. Obviously there's more to the story because she lost her brother, and there's that scene where she confesses that to Miyamura.
Yeah.
But
I do love the fact that she have an affection for Hori, but it's really about her and Miyamura
yeah.
relationship. So I really like that.
Yeah. There's some good like territory that they could explore with her. There's some good material that they could you know,
Yep.
write or bring up or whatever in the future regarding her character. But just the way that she was kind of plopped into things here, and the show seeming to be satisfied with like, you know, the way that it went about things. Okay, she's part of the gang now. You're going to be seeing her around. I'm not really into it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even to like all these other supporting characters, you remember like the red hair girls that's supposed to have a crush on Miyamura.
The red-haired girl.
In the council group.
You're talking about the girl with pink hair?
Yeah, that's
She doesn't
the
actually
one,
have a
yes.
crush on Miyamura.
She just want to tease Hori.
Yes. I think she just likes messing. She likes messing with people and like teasing them and trying to figure out, you know, she's like a matchmaker, I think. She, you know, because there was the green-haired girl, Sakura, who's part of the student council. You know, she sympathizes with her for, you know, this green-haired girl has a crush on Ishikawa, and she, but she feels like she's not good-looking, so it kind of tears her up inside that her friend is so much better looking, because I don't know. I mean, I didn't care too much about like the green-haired girl is really boring to me.
Yep. Well, I feel the same.
Yeah.
So I think that is the problem, and the way that it creating drama again is it's a bit too quick. Like you remember when like everyone just start talking about their about the two main characters if they are dating or not, and they teasing them about that.
In episode 6,
whole
the most
thing
recent
actually
one.
Just and the whole thing I think it just resolved like when when Miyamura cutting his hair off.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I think the show moves pretty fast in general.
Yep.
If we're talking like late 90s or early to mid 2000s shoujo adaptation of this material, we are getting a minimum of 3 episodes where the characters are all like whispering and gossiping about this behind the main characters' backs. And then there will be some climactic moment where one of the main characters' friends sticks up for them, and everyone will be like, "Oh, I didn't even know it was possible not to bully people. I've seen the light," But instead, we're in this universe where it's all fixed up real nice and neat because Miyamura showed everyone that he's a Bishonen.
Yeah, well, maybe that really happened in the manga. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I just mean that. Do you know there is one other show of manga that this show remind me of, in terms of the way that it tell the comedy and drama.
What would that be?
Fruit baskets.
Fruits Basket.
I think it have the same is the same kind of issue as well. The way that the comedy in Fruit Basket is not that on point. The drama is alright. Sometimes a little bit too dramatic, and I got the same feeling with while watching Horimiya.
I think Horimiya can be pretty funny sometimes. I would not compare it to Fruits Basket. I feel like this is just my opinion, but I think Fruits Basket is like it's just not funny. You have to be, I don't know, you have to have a certain kind of sensibility, like a tolerance for anime humor. Yep. I don't know. I can't really. I just am so not on the same wavelength as Fruits Basket that I really can't explain my issues with it very effectively, which is kind of a cop out. But I mean, Horimiya doesn't have a supernatural aspect, and its relationships are pretty clear cut. It's not like there's a will they won't they between Toru and a handful of guys from the same family for like episodes and seasons on end.
Okay.
Are you eating?
Something.
Okay. Because you just went silent for a while.
Fish.
You're eating fish?
Just ignore me. Just going on.
Oh, I mean, I don't have anything else to say.
Dried fish. But so how do you like about this show now? Like do you still enthusiastic about this show, or
no, not really?
Is it more like a feeling of disappointing at how it is?
Yeah, pretty disappointed. Also, I'm noticing more and more. I mean, I noticed this from the start, to be honest. But the less interested I become in a show, like the more apparent its other faults will become.
Yep.
The backgrounds in this show are just awful, especially the interior backgrounds.
I agree with that.
They're just so plain, so sterile. It's like every room is a hospital room. All the furniture is arranged like, just kind of out of the way at 90-degree angles to everything else, looking, like it's just been sterilized. And all of the edges have been sanded away. All the personality. There's no personality to any of the the settings or any of the rooms where these conversations take place. It's relying mostly on character animation, and what character animation there is pretty good. I would say, on average, but that's not really enough when the designs are not always looking good.
Yep.
Just problems on problems.
Well, I still like the show. I still like how they make out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I thought like this moment where they like where he confessed or where they hold hands are pretty effective. So I still want to watch it till the
Yeah.
end to see. Is it gonna be complete? Do you
I have
think?
no idea. I mean, the manga's ongoing, so the web manga it might be finished. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't
All
know.
right.
Yeah,
Next house.
we just spent 40 minutes talking about 2 shows out of 5. We gotta speed up.
Yep. All right. Next show gonna be SK8 the Infinity. I think this is one of the show. I would say we might have like different opinion the most.
Okay, what's your opinion?
I really like it.
All right.
I enjoyed the ride so far. I think episode 6, the latest episode, is where it is my least favorite.
Really?
Because it had nothing to do with the skating and all this. They think it's just like hot boys
It's a beach
hanging out
episode.
with each other. Yeah, it basically it, yes.
Yeah.
So
I
with
liked
no
it.
girls. All right, cool.
Like I think this show's almost a straight up comedy.
It is comedy, yes.
So I like that it leaned into that. I appreciated that.
Right. Other than that though, I really enjoy the shows, like all the ridiculous skate move that they made,
Right.
like all the over the top like cool sounding name, like Love Hug.
Love hug. That's Adam's signature technique. Yes.
It's over the top, but it's just so fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean I agree. When you're talking about over the top, a lot of it boils down to your opinion on Adam, the villain. I saw you write a comment about like how he would fit into the Utena universe.
Yeah,
Just-
I actually still feel that.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree. Like just because he's flamboyant, I don't know if that means that he belongs in that universe.
He fit that words like perfectly for me. The type
I
of
can
the
I can
prince.
kind of get with that.
Yeah. Well, when I say about over the top, I'm not thinking only about Adam, but to Cherry and Cho as well. The way they just the really over the top way that they do. They successful in their real life. They
Right.
magnificent in their other like double life.
They're
They are perfect
magnificent.
human being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true, dude. That's so true. They are perfect human beings. Their only fault is that they can't acknowledge, the fact that they're gay for each other.
Yeah, that's right.
That's their only issue.
And,
I do get some pretty strong like homoerotic subtext vibes from the
Oh,
show, especially after the most
right,
recent
right.
episode.
hmm
Like the main characters, there's talk about like wanting to get with girls and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Uh-huh.
But they're Reki is like blushing, looking at Langa. Langa is such a
Mhm.
weird name. And like there's multiple points where the guys all conspire to like make Joe look bad in front of the ladies.
Yep.
I actually thought that was really sharp. Like that was really smart. The way that Mia just the guys are freaking out about how Joe is like hitting it off with these two like beautiful women. And
Yep.
they're all like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? He's too much of a stud. We have
Yep.
no chance." Mia just calmly walks over and starts
Yeah.
acting like his son. I hated Mia at
Yeah.
first. Like I seriously hated his character so much because he was, the whole point of his character was like, I'm a loner, for everyone else is just a
Who is
commoner. I'm
me?
the best, and I hate friendship. Like friendship is bad because it just makes you weak. So this very shonen
Yep.
sort of mentality. But then after he is beaten soundly and disabused of this notion, all of a sudden he becomes like the I don't know, like the smartest guy in the room. Like he diffuses situations and gets one over on the other characters quite easily.
He, yeah, he kind of like the straight man where everyone
Yeah,
just act crazy. He just like go and do stuff.
yeah. And he's not like a stick in the mud. Like
Well,
he's not the kind of straight man that just sucks the fun out of everything. Instead, he
yeah, yeah.
is just like better than everybody else. He's a
Yep.
straight man in that way, which is kind of
Well,
interesting.
you know who my favorite character is at the moment for this from the shows?
Um, Cherry.
Shadow.
Oh,
He's a champ. He's a big bro. I love him.
he's definitely a big brother type, like the kind of big brother who's kind of clumsy and he
And
really wants to support you, even though he's not like the cool big brother. He still wants to do his best to make sure that
yeah,
his little brother is you know driven
it's funny
different
though,
places
especially
and
like
eating well.
yeah, it's especially like after the first episode where we supposed to hate him. He just come out to be really really cool, really like looking out for each other.
Yeah.
For all these other characters, he's so nice.
Well,
I
in the
like
very
him. I love
next
him.
episode, after episode 1, in episode 2, we learn that he works at a flower shop. And then
Yeah, yeah, that's
ever
right.
since then, the show has softened him up. Like there's the episode, I can't remember which one it was, maybe episode 4, where all the characters want to go to, like, they want to go somewhere, and so they all pile into his car.
Yep.
I guess they go to his flower shop and like all break into his car, or maybe it was unlocked,
Yep.
and they just sit in there and wait for him to get in. And then as soon as he gets in, they're like, take us here,
Yep.
take us to the racetrack," and he freaks out.
Yep.
And once again, it's Mia who saves the day because the other characters just beg him. They're like,
Yep.
please take us. And Mia is
Like
like, well, I'm instead of begging you, I'm just gonna expose you for being a weird clown man to your hot manager who you have a crush on if you don't take us.
yeah. I mean like it fitting because Langa and Reki is kind of the type where their heads are in the cloud.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
not really like practical, and Mia is the one who like who can push things forward. So I think
Right.
that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I was expecting Reiki, however you say his name, to be like the hot-headed
Yep.
character, and
Mhm.
Ranga to be way more like a logical thinker and cool-headed and kind of like too cool for school and et cetera, et cetera.
But it's not really the case.
Yeah, it's not really the
I
case. And episode 2 in particular, I think, did a really good job of building their friendship and demonstrating just how similar they are to each other.
agree.
I think episode 2 of this show is my favorite so far for that reason, because it accomplished that really really well, really quickly, really believably. I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of my favorite anime episodes, like of the season, perhaps even of the year, by the time we get to the end of 2021.
Wow, that's a bold statement that you made.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's my favorite so far after a month and a half.
Right.
So
Yep. To be serious though, I really like the characters, the personality of Langa, of Reiki, and the two of them together. I think their friendship are believable, and they clearly show that like they influence each other and they care about each other.
yeah, yeah, and
So
you do get the sense like Ricky he's worried for Longo when he's about to challenge Adam,
yeah,
and then he also in episode 6 you can tell that he feels Longa kind of pulling away from him, like not as though their friendship is going to be dissolved or anything, but Longa is like has improved so much in such a short period of time.
that
The
he
thing,
left him behind.
yeah, exactly. Like the thing that links them together is skateboarding.
Yeah,
And so if they're no longer kind of on the same wavelength or on the same page where that is concerned, Reki is like afraid that might
and
impact their friendship.
and I actually like it that like Ricky, or we call him Lecky, is the type of your typical shonen protagonist. So he like he love his sport so much. He trying to improve it. He like he doesn't back down from the challenge. He the kind of man who usually be like the main character that we follow, like the underdog.
Yeah.
We but he in this show he really is the second in command, and he kind of supporting Langa, all the way through, and he's the kind of scapegoater where others don't think him as highly.
Yeah,
So
he's not the hero.
yeah, so he's not the hero type, and I really like to see how he go through all that. He going through one of these now, like feeling that Langa have left him behind. So it's interesting to see how he's like how he developed after this.
Yeah. Yep, I'm sure we'll get there eventually. I mean, the show kind of Adam is like the main antagonist, and the show busted him out really early on. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's kind of put a freeze on things with the cops getting involved in episode 5, and then beach episode in episode 6. And then now there's going to be a tournament. Adam's going to set up a skating tournament. That's what we learned at the end of episode 6. So that's going to go on for a while.
Yeah.
So the show made an interesting decision to get its villain like so deeply involved in the story so early on, but now it seems to be backpedaling on that a little bit, and we're going to get a more typical finish to the core, I think.
Yep.
Which is fine, because it's the show's about having fun. I think mostly like when you're watching it.
How do you like about the skating do? Like on the challenge or the battle? How do you like it?
I don't know. They're fine. I really
Yeah.
do hate how brown those scenes are, though. They're so brown.
Right. Well. Considering that they have been playing like in just one route at the moment,
Yeah.
so it makes sense that
Sure, it makes sense. I just think it looks kind of ugly. I think it's in.
I don't mind that it at the like for now. Maybe in the future if they still reusing it, it will get on my nerve. For
I mean, I
now,
think
I'm fine with that.
I guess since he's specifying that since there's going to be a tournament, yeah, you know what? Come to think of it, they might actually get away from the mine, because the cops are now patrolling that area, or it's back on their radar. Whatever terminology you want to use. So it's probably not available at the moment. So we might shift to a new location. I hadn't even considered that.
Yep. All right. Let's hop on to another show.
Yeah.
Kemono Jihen. Kemono Jihen.
Yeah, I have very little to say about this show, man.
All right.
I thought it was gonna
I
be more, I don't know, just more different, more daring, more something than it is. But now we've got a weekly case format where we're supernatural detectives, and I'm just kind of bored.
Yeah, I think it's functional, and I think this is the stage where they, like introduce each and every one of the team members, and and after that, with the case to case, the weekly case to case, and like I think after this, like after we get introduced to the vampire, and Con join the team, I think we might get like an actual act in like the second half of the core.
Well, I mean, they introduced that woman. I can't remember her name, but is she also a tanuki?
No, she's not a tanuki. She's like different type of spirit.
Yeah.
But they can do shape shifting like the tanuki as well.
Right, and they're like enemies of the tanuki or something. They introduce her, and she has like a stranglehold on the police department. Thanks to her charm. Like she has the ability to control people. And you can tell that she does this because she has like massive tits. So that, that's an indicator that she's able to control people,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. So, they introduce her character and like she's an antagonist for the Tanuki guy whose name I can't remember. It starts with K. There's a lot of stuff that starts with K.
Kohachi.
There's no way that's right. Kohachi?
Kohachi Inugami. That's his
Oh,
name.
Inugami. Okay, yeah, I guess Kohachi is right. Inugami is what they call him, but I was talking about the letter K, so thank you.
Mm.
She's his antagonist naturally, and she also wants the little spirit stone thing that Kabane has, the main character. So she's perfect antagonist material for this series. They honestly could have jumped straight into like a larger story built around her character, but they didn't.
I don't think she's supposed to be like the main antagonist. I think she's supposed to be just do you remember like Five Fox? There is like another lady like that.
Yeah, like Hibana or something is her name.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be like that type of characters who is an antagonist at first and then like come around to be a supporting characters.
Okay, well then give us that story instead of whatever weird shit is going on right now with vampires that participate in the plot via remote control cars.
Yeah.
It's just no.
Oh, well.
Just no to everything that is going on in the show. That's a big no
at
for
least
me.
At least there is one character that I want to see more of, and this is Con.
The
only
Fox girl,
actually,
right?
The Fox girl. I like her characters. I
Yeah,
like the way that she's awkward.
interesting. She's interesting in the same way that Kabane is interesting. Like neither of them, the Akira and the kid who looks like Bakugo from My Hero Academia, whatever his name is, they are kind of like
him.
What?
He acts exactly like Bakugo as well.
I was prepared to make that judgment at first, but I don't think he's as annoying. Like he's not constantly yelling and screaming all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he is the rival character in the sense that Bakugo is the rival character. They kind of look similar, kind of act similar a little bit. Like him and Akira, are more or less, mentally they're human beings, even if they're Kemono. But what's interesting about Kabane and Kon is that like their minds are kind of broken, because of the treatment that they've received at the hands of like adults who have manipulated them and used them for their abilities. They're interesting. And in episode 5, there was the scene where, Kon is like wandering around. She's been dismissed by the lady, whatever her name is, Tanuki.
Inari.
Yeah, sure. And, what's his face? Kabane promises her that he'll come, like they're hanging out in a park for a little bit. And Kabane promises that he'll come back. And then that plot is just abandoned in favor of breaking into this company with insect people who suck blood, and there's a remote control car, and the spider guy is invisible. I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like after this, like Kabane will come back to her and saw her like still waiting in the park all alone, and then just decided to grab her to the team. So we get like the really happy ending.
Yeah, but she was just abandoned in the middle of the episode. Like it didn't do anything with that thread. It just kind of cut it and was like, "Well, we'll come back to this later."
Or it could be that we know that Shiki in trouble. The other guy name is Shiki, so Shiki in trouble, and Kamane somehow is in trouble as well, and just can't just appear right at the right time.
Oh my god! Now that you've said that, that makes perfect sense. That's what's gonna happen.
Have been stalking Kabane since he doesn't come back to the park, so she can snip his mouth or something. So following him there and be the heroine of the day.
Yeah. Now that you've said that, there's like 100% chance that will happen. That just seems very shonen-esque.
Yeah. Well, all right. uh, kidding aside, though, I think
No, I'm
one
not
of the
kidding.
most effective, one of the most effective moment in the whole like 5 episodes that I watched is when Cabernet Falcon in the park and they just sitting together without saying anything.
Yeah.
But you can feel the same that like they share something together. They enjoy the time they share together, and I really love that moment.
Yeah.
And this is just the only good thing that I can say about the show.
Yeah, I agree pretty much. Yep.
um, on the character though, I think Akira is annoying. I
Yeah.
think Inugami is manipulative.
Yeah, that's true, but I can kind of get behind that. Like for
Mm.
he's the ringleader, he's the head of this detective agency or whatever. So you have to expect that there are skeletons in his closet, not just vampires who play MMORPGs.
Yeah,
And
well,
you want to, you assume that there are skeletons in his closet. You want to know what they are, and for him to be manipulating these kids and using them as pawns,
but
as peons to do his bidding and stuff. It just, he's a flawed character.
yeah,
Uh,
but it's child labor, man.
yeah, I know. I know. I mean, I think it's fine that his character is not like morally upright. I think that
Yep,
that's to be expected, and that makes him like somewhat interesting.
yep. All right,
I'm
let's
probably
go.
I'm probably gonna drop this.
Yeah, well, still following it at least this core. I don't know if it's going like 2 core or something,
I
but
don't know.
it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
All right, let's save the best for last. So we go into my favorite show of the season so far,
Yeah. It would be mine as well.
with the egg priority.
Hmm.
Really, I actually kind of surprised that the show doesn't really get much into the actual like dream where this girl saving up save the others egg
What do you mean? We've
victims.
seen some of that in every single episode.
I mean that they don't really delve deep into that. Like episode 1 and 2, we get to know these characters. We get to know about their problems. Just here in from episode 3 to 5, it's just more or less they just stated their case, and they more focus about the focus in real life
Yeah.
than the cases.
Yep.
And I kind of get behind that that decision that they made.
Yeah. It makes the show a lot more transparent and straightforward
Mhm.
when you compare it to something like Flip Flappers, for example.
Huh.
Because the characters in this show, like the girls, the human, they have more human problems, and they have um, conversations that follow much more logical paths.
Mhm.
For example, in episode 5, the conflict that arises when Rika, says, well, maybe we don't have to be
So,
cracking these eggs and fighting these monsters. Maybe we can just
mhm.
let go of the people who we've lost. Um, we know the characters so well because we've seen so much of them, talking to one another and meeting each other and learning about each other, that we understand how they'll react in that situation, and then we get to see it unfold in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so it's the show is not. I mean, obviously there are still mysteries, but the show is not like purposefully obscuring itself or like hiding in the bushes and waiting us to get to episode 12 before it jumps out and was like, ha! It was really
Mhm.
about this all along, and all of your confusion is just delicious nectar to me. I love that you had no idea what was going on. But the show's not. It's not like about that kind of trickery.
Yep. Yeah. In a way, that episode 3 and 4 have been focused on the two new characters, the two Rika and Momoe,
Yeah.
and their backstories. I really like. I really enjoy their backstories a lot.
Yeah. They're pretty cool. I especially liked the way that Momoe was introduced in episode 4. Because there was an ongoing fight with I and Rika
Yep.
against the freaky adult woman who was like obsessed
Yep.
with that idol and who held a grudge against
Yep.
those two fangirls because they killed themselves and like I don't know got the she was
Frustrated.
jealous I guess of the fact that they were able to demonstrate their obsession so clearly.
Yep.
That was interesting. Like psychologically, there's some interesting stuff going on there. But anyway, there's an ongoing fight scene. Like there's a cliffhanger, and
Yep.
episode 4 takes that opportunity to parallel the missions that Momoe is going on with the existing like ongoing mission that's happening with Rika and I. And it's I'm surprised that it went off as well as it did, because that's difficult to write.
Yep.
But it worked a lot, and Momoe is like one of my favorites now.
All right. I agree with that because when I watched the ED and even some of the OP, I saw Momoe characters, and before she having her own episodes, I was thinking of she kind of like a timid girl who doesn't really stand out. And I was thinking that like she might not be that interesting of a character, but turn out she was really great.
Yeah. In fact, when she was first introduced, I wasn't sure about like the whole sexual / gender situation. I thought that she might have been a trans man. Like the reproductive organs of a guy.
Yep.
But no, she's a woman who has, like she's tall and she has broad shoulders, and so that I felt, I don't know if that was like we were intended to be misled in that way, or maybe that was just my imagination like working way too hard. But in any case, like no matter what ridiculous theories I may have come up with, there's some interesting stuff, happening with her character.
Yep.
There are girls falling in love with her, and she can't return their affections.
And she talked about that, I think.
Yeah, well,
and I actually,
yeah,
it's more. I think it's also more of a fact that she doesn't know how she feel herself. If she like it, if she doesn't like it.
I don't know.
She think herself as a man, or if she think herself as a girl.
No, she definitely thinks of herself as a girl, 100%, because that's what makes her happy is when other people acknowledge that she's a girl. I mean, it's possible that she's so mixed up that she really, like, it gives her comfort when people, acknowledge that she's a girl, because she feels like that's a more safe mode of expression for her. But she really actually does kind of identify more with her masculine qualities. But I don't think the show is like in that deep. I think she does like being seen as a girl. And she's conflicted when people see her as a guy. Like in episode 5, when she's showing the pictures, she and Rika take a selfie together, and then she gets out her phone. She's scrolling through some pictures. And you see the picture of her together with her friend who committed suicide. She says, very openly and honestly, like I was so happy that she really treated me like a girl. And she's got the little scrunchie in her hair. And then I assume that she feels some amount of guilt for her friend's suicide because she wasn't able to return her love.
Yeah. I think that happened with all these characters here. So I do think that Rika and Momoe doing that in the sense of like first is grieving about like her best friend commit suicide, and second is out of guilt because they feel like they were responsible for that. It's just Neru who doesn't feel that way. And I
Right.
think the show make a really compelling point of that of when Rika just told everyone that you don't need to feel we don't need to feel guilty about what they decided to do. And
Right.
I think it's make a lot of sense. And also the way that Nehru just doesn't accept that fact because she come from a different perspective that like her sister stabbed her and then commit suicide and she want to know why. It it tell us more about her characters as well. So I think the show have been really approached that really well done. Yeah,
I guess I want to clarify something. Who did you say said that they didn't need to feel guilty?
Rika.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
that seemed to be her role in episode 5. And in fact, in general, Rika like says a lot of the dialogue that she gets or some key pieces of dialogue that she gets
Uh-huh.
read more like conservative traditional takes on social issues. For
Mm.
example, she talks about how beautiful women shouldn't carry cash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's something that she learned from her dad because
Yep.
someone will pay for them. And there's that little bit of that little conversation between Akka and Uda Akka about
Mm-hmm.
how like women are more prone to emotionality,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're talking about that, Nehru like looks at them in disgust, like she
Yep.
doesn't subscribe to that idea, but
Yep.
Rika buys into it because in episode 5 she
Yep.
says, I'm a woman, I'm gonna be, I'm driven by emotion. This is when she's making the case that they don't need to feel,
Yep.
uh, they don't need to be beholden to their friends who have committed suicide. She even says that people who commit suicide are selfish,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is a
I
line that you hear a lot,
Yep.
like in all kinds of like in real life for sure. Also in literature and television shows, the idea that people who commit suicide are selfish because they're only thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure that this show is going to comment on that idea more directly
Mm-hmm.
as it goes on.
So to say that I'm a little mixed in episode 5, like the way it's structured because at like on one hand I really glad that the four girls like have a time to like spend time to each other, talking about the issues. I I feel like the way that Momoe say about her issues, like in that manner. I think it's really good for her characters to like finally let out, but for the show as well to be like completely upfront about all the issues. Like they don't treat it these scenes as like dramatic at all, but it's more about like they open up to each other, they sharing their story to each other.
Mm-hmm.
At the
Yep.
same time though, like the four of them together, like I miss the like the individual, like the sorry for using that word again, the dynamic between like the two characters, two single character to each other,
Oh, I
because
thought
like
you were about
four
to
of
say
them
chemistry.
because the four of them they just like they kind of blend into each other. So
They kind of blend into
I
each other. I don't agree at all. Like Rika is
oh
so
I
distinct from the other girls, and Nehru, like the amount of secrets that she
yeah
carries, and
well
how like she, I don't know, she's a little bit closed off. I think that's totally unique. And the fact that
yeah
I
but
in every scene is like obviously struggling to
mhm,
like connect with the girls. Like
mhm,
she really wants to be their friend, and she
yep
seems to be trying really hard
mhm,
to keep up with them in a
mhm,
sense, because she's been shut away in her house for so long before this.
yeah
I feel like they're
and
totally unique.
because I do have the feeling that Rika and Nehru a bit overwhelming for Aimone. They overshadows the other two girls when the four of them are together.
Yeah, I think they have the stronger personalities. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they do have those stronger personalities works to make them all distinct characters. I don't really get the sense that they blend together at all. I don't.
And I really love the fact that like we all know about Moe's cousin or uncle that is I homeroom teacher as well.
Right. Yeah, we just learned about that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
In fact, everything having to do with the guidance counselor, I think that's what his
Yep.
role is.
Mm-hmm.
Like this episode, the direction visually kind of painted him in an ominous light. Like there's that
Mm-hmm.
scene, that very brief cut where he's looking at Ai's door, the door to her
Mm-hmm.
bedroom, and then you
Yep.
get the shot of his face. He's in the hall, like he's in a dark hallway. That's the shadows. He's cast
Mm-hmm.
in shadows. Um, and then Rika, of course, because she often goes off on flights of fancy. She's like speculating that he could have knocked up Koito, the
Yep.
Ai's friend who committed suicide, and then the reason that he keeps coming over to the house is to try to get a sense of whether Ai knows anything about that, like whether she has any
Yep.
evidence. I was as
Yep.
she was laying out this case, I was like, damn, like that's that's a really good theory. I'm mad I didn't think of that.
No, it's a good thing because like I did think about that before. I did
Ah,
notice that Moe's last name is the same of that guy, and as we see in the flashback that Koito was hugging him before she committed suicide.
right.
So we made that theory, and I actually really like the fact that the show just like go with it,
Hmm.
because it doesn't try into like, hey, this is a surprise, it's gonna be the twist.
Right.
It's yeah, so I really like the fact that like they lay it all out in this episode through the conversation and stuff.
I wasn't a big fan of the fact that they did that. I guess
Right.
I would have
Uh-huh.
preferred for it to be ambiguous for a little while. I mean, first of all, we don't even know if that's true. Um,
Yeah, that's the thing, because what I think when they lay it out to the table like that, it tend not to be true.
right. It tends
So
not
I
to be,
think
but it could be.
it could be.
That's kind of what's interesting
So
about it. Like
so
they've been so
maybe
blatant
another.
about it, so you would think,
Yep.
oh, it's a misdirect, but it could actually
Yep.
be a misdirect of a
The case.
misdirect. It could be Inception.
It's not the red herring. It's the opposite of the red herring.
Right. It's a green herring.
The blue herring.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
I do. So I wasn't a big fan, I guess, at least not initially, of the fact that they laid that out so much. But then I think what rescues it for me is that it's Rika's character who's coming up with it, because she's the one who's like very expressive,
Yep.
unconcerned about how other people may perceive her. And
Yep.
if she has an idea, especially one that she thinks might cause like a little bit of drama, like cause a little bit of stir, so it'll get the girls talking and gossiping, she's just gonna lay it
I
out. And so I think it's appropriate
or
that she was the one who brought it up. And you have Momoe, she's sticking up for her uncle, and I is like
yep.
kind of like, I don't know. I got the sense
I
that
do
she was
think
kind
about
of
it.
suffocating, socially speaking, in that situation. Like she had
Yep.
no idea how to navigate it. So I
Yep.
really,
Yep. Yep.
even though I's kind of the least interesting character
Mm-hmm.
to me, but in a way, I feel like the show does like the best job of portraying her, because I
Yeah,
get.
I agree, because I do think that for most of the cases, doesn't know how to react.
Yeah, yeah, and you get a sense that even though she really is like, she's keeping up appearances, and she's offering her friendship, like to Neiru in episode, I don't know if that was 2 or 3, where she visits her in
Too.
the hospital and she's like, let's be friends, and
Mm-hmm.
she's having a good time hanging out at the arcade with her, with all the girls. They're on this egg squad together. But you can tell that there's something under the surface that is. I mean, obviously she's troubled. We know why she's troubled.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's some nuance there. Some of it has to do with the
Yep.
character animation. Some of it has to do with just the general like layout of the show.
Yeah, I think that we can talk for hours for the shows, but let continue on in some point because we haven't mentioned about Naruto. But before that,
We did talk about it.
uh, before that, I want to say two things. Like one is that you mentioned that Rika is the type that doesn't really perceive what other thing about her,
Well,
and
she doesn't care as much, or she's willing to be seen as like confrontational or
I actually think of the opposite. I actually think that she's the more aware of her role,
yeah. I wouldn't
and
disagree that she's aware. I just don't think
uh,
that she's not willing to shut up. You know, she's not willing to let herself be silenced.
yeah. I think in that sense makes sense. I do mean more in a sense that like she aware of her role in society. Like she aware that she is an idol, so she act like one. She aware that she is like the type of woman. So she act on her emotions. So I do think that like she out of all the characters, I'm the most aware and act according to what the role are supposed to be for her.
Right, what the role is supposed to be. I think the show is in the process of making the argument that you don't need to fall into any particular role just because of who you are.
Yeah.
That's I think that'll probably be the ultimate message. Just
Yep.
because you don't like look traditionally feminine doesn't mean that you aren't just as much a woman as everyone else. Just because
Yeah.
you're like
Mhm.
cripplingly shy doesn't mean you aren't entitled to like love and friendship.
Yeah.
Just because you are an idol doesn't mean you should be dehumanized.
Mhm. Um, Also, the second thing that I want to bring up is like the four of them are hanging out together, and there was a brief moment where Momoe talking to Neru about something when they are playing. I think when they drive, they play a game of driving, of
Yeah.
racing,
And behind them
and
you can see I and Rika playing a different game in the background, like
yeah,
between them.
yep. I really love that moment. Like they share something,
Yeah.
only them together.
Yeah, but Nehru is like not really having it.
Yep.
Nehru is has her sights set on I. I think that
Yep.
of
Hmm.
like I think that Nehru is probably the most like there's tons
I
of
like that.
symbolism having to do with like flowers implying that some girls are maybe not conforming to heteronormative sexual modes. I don't know
All
how
right.
just try to dress that up as academically as I can.
Uh,
I think Nehru is probably gay
hmm.
for
I
I.
don't think. All right. I don't think there is any romantic tension between her and I yet so far.
I wouldn't say there's
But
tension between them, but I would say that Nehru is
yeah.
very possessive.
Hmm.
Like because the conversation that she has in that moment that you were just referencing has to
Yep.
do, I think, had to do with I.
Hmm.
And Momoe expressing some amount of fondness or appreciation for her, something like that, and then Nehru is like, what's that? Are you
I don't
sweet?
really.
Are you sweet on my girl?
I don't really remember the conversation that
I
they have,
might, dude,
but
I might be completely inventing that to be honest, but that's wish I had taken better notes on that scene. But the general sense that I get is that Nehru is not really. She doesn't like other people getting close to I.
yep,
I
yep,
don't
yep.
think.
We see that through her like rescuing as well, as he doesn't really try to know about the victim at all. She just tried to kill off the monster because that's what she said that what her ultimate goal is, just try to kill off the monsters.
Yeah, well, the reason she does that is because if she doesn't, her scar aches.
Yep, yep, yep.
So she's
And I think
doing it
that
entirely
really
for
interesting.
herself. At least that's
Yeah,
what she claims, but I'm
that
sure
was
that
she
she
claimed.
feels more guilt than she lets on.
Yep. Oh, this is a good show. like all guild and briefing is like are all of my favorite teams. So I'm really on board with that. And we haven't mentioned like on this a really great direction and on the production quality that I think the show had nailed it so far.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of praise for the animation, and there, I'd say some episodes have been really with it, like on the ball.
Hmm.
Some
Yep.
not as much, and I mean that's the
Like
nature
this
of anime
episode, we don't
production
have that a lot. Hmm. Well,
because you have different animation directors for different episodes. But
right.
there's definitely been wow moments in every episode. I
Hmm.
especially loved in episode, I think it was episode 2.
Yep.
Um, this is the one where it's Ai's mission again, and she's in the school again,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
there's a gymnastics coach. That's right. The
Yeah.
victim
Yeah.
is a girl who's being abused by her gymnastics coach, and the scene where the gymnastics coach transforms from
Hmm.
like a faceless human being into a crazy monster, and you see like her breasts expand and then invert and get transformed into these gigantic like balloon like
Hmm.
appendages, and her face becomes all grotesque. That scene reminded, like, I got heavy Furikuri vibes from that scene.
Hmm.
In fact, I like this show kind of reminds me of Furikuri a little
Hmm.
bit.
Interesting. It reminds me the more of flip flappers of all things.
Yeah, yeah, flip floppers definitely. There's definitely some
And
flip floppers in there.
and this.
I would say that Furikuri is kind of like the the teenage boy version of these types of shows, whereas
Hmm.
this is the like the more socially conscious teenage girl
Hmm.
version. Um,
Interesting comparison because for me I always think that when the act probability is structure is more disciplined than fully coolie.
oh, for sure, yes. When I was talking earlier about how this show is more straightforward than Flip Flappers, the same goes for
Hmm.
Furikuri 100%. Like Furikuri is uh, it's,
Just go
the,
on the map, just go
yeah,
on the rails.
yeah. Furikuri has no playbook. Like
Yeah.
they're what they get up to the line of scrimmage and it's 1st and 10, and the quarterback is like, well, I don't know, just snap me the ball, and every single play is going to be a Hail Mary. We're just chucking the ball into the end zone 100% of the time.
Yep.
Wonder Egg is a little bit more disciplined and detailed and straightforward,
Yep.
which is I think that's good.
Yep.
Because if you try to be like Furikuri and you mess it up,
Yeah. 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 That's
you have
right.
fucked up. Like there is no coming back.
I agree. Have many shows have tried and failed. Like no one, no show really succeeds on like intimidating what Fuliculi did.
Yeah.
So don't try.
You remember Punchline at all? Do you remember that show?
I watched like the first episode of it and then I just
Yeah.
stop.
That show really, really wanted to be Furikuri. I remember that.
Yep.
I think Flip Floppers
Mm.
has some FLCL DNA in it for sure.
Yep.
Um, can't think of too many others. And obviously, there's Ikuhara
There's sequels.
influence in Wonder Egg like all over the place,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as
True.
well as like Naoko Yamada, her directorial style is in here
Mhm.
too. Like the way that shots are framed, the specific focus on like individual body parts, the use of like a quote unquote lens where one part of the character will be like really sharp, and then it'll be a soft focus on the rest of them to draw your eye. Uh,
Mhm.
that's something that she has been largely responsible for bringing into the
Mhm.
anime's language in recent years.
Love that.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the all the almost on the direction that storyboard like the show have been put on so far.
Yeah, the
Like, I
fights
don't
are
really,
really cool.
yeah, and the characters are relatable. It's not the right word, but the characters are complex.
Yeah.
They have a lot of issues, and like we really feel related to them.
Yep. Yeah, well they're
All
not speaking in
right.
riddles. They
Yeah.
We know what their problems are because the show it
Yep.
shows us what their issues are, and it creates metaphors and parallels via the scenes where they are fighting the wonder killers in their dreams. So
All
we
right.
we we both see what they're going through and can infer a little bit more about their situation through that.
Yep.
I'm done.
All right. So yeah, we hit like the 90-minute mark. So let's move on to the spirit circles.
All right. First volume, chapters 1 to 7.
What that sigh for?
What do you mean? Oh,
You have
you think that I didn't like it?
I like from what you sighed like that. Maybe not.
Well, I think I
Maybe
sighed
you
like that
find that
mostly because
confusing.
I'm a little tired. I thought Spirit Circle was
Right.
pretty entertaining. I don't know if it was good. I'd say it was entertaining. Like, it's interesting, the guy
Yep.
has a million past lives and we get to see him.
Yep. I think it's supposed to be like nine life or ten life or something.
Well, we know that he has his current life and he
Yep.
experiences one past life after Coco I
Yep.
guess that's how you say her name, Coco. She pushes him
Yep.
down the steps
Uh-huh.
and he quote unquote dies, but not really. And he sees one of his past lives. So and then after that she says to him you have to experience that 7 more times. So that's a minimum of
7 more
9.
times. Yep. Yeah. Uh, because I do remember that it's not like his past life, like all the past life that he gonna experience, but it's more about like the life that he have intersection with Coco.
I mean, I would
Eh,
hazard a guess and say that all of his past lives have intersected with Coco's because
that makes sense.
they seem to be linked together. Like they have a shared fate that she
Yeah.
wants to be free of, which is why she's doing this.
But the thing is, like the two prominent past life that we see so far in the first chapter, in the first volume, they are enemies, so they actually chopping off the other head off.
Yeah, she kills him in one of them, and then he kills her in the other one.
Yep, yep, that's right. So like I think they destined to be enemy, to
Yeah.
be yeah, yeah, that's right, enemy. I can't find a better word for that. And she want to break that circles basically.
Yep. She's going to break the circle with her spirit circle. The symbolism.
Blow my mind.
Yep. But he also has a spirit circle, which he gets from Rune, or I guess you
Rune.
in Japanese you might. I don't know if what's intended there is for you to say it the way a Japanese person would, Rune, or if her name is Rune, like it's the Japanese word for rune.
Yeah, maybe it's like just another version of Lei, because we have like a character Lei
Right.
in this timeline as well. And is that supposed to be the same person? I'm not really sure.
I think that we're supposed to infer that it is. Yes. They have very similar facial characteristics.
Yeah, and
Um,
and 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 the fact that the fact that
I think we can just call her Rune.
Lei. Okay, the
I
fact that
think.
Rune also say that, or is it Ray that I don't remember? That say that they basically step from one life to another, from the past life to become one of the main character's daughter.
Right.
pretty much confirm that they are this one and the same characters.
Wait a minute. What does Rune say about?
Maybe it's not Rune, but it's Ray, like the daughter.
Yeah, the daughter's Ray.
Let's say that. Yeah. Well, my God, I'm already confused. Are they kind of the same person?
I think
That's
they
my
are. I mean,
questions.
we saw very obvious parallels between like in the van chapters specifically, where we're in this medieval setting. The assassin who's sent to kill him is obviously one of his friends from high school, and then the preacher, who like Glass, I think was his name, who is like
Yep.
blaspheming against the church. He's the other friend from high school.
Oh, is
And
it? I actually
yeah.
didn't make that connection at all.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
right.
like it's actually really obvious. Like I don't mean to be disrespectful in saying that. Like they have like the exact same facial features. So the author wanted you to pick up on that, or wanted us to pick up on that. And in fact, at the very end of the van of chapter 7, which is the third van
Yep.
chapter, Cielo, the kid who used to accompany the
Yep.
the priest
Yep. Yep.
Glass, he's running
Mhm.
out to see what the deal is because somebody has just hit their head and died at his farm. So he's running
Yep.
out, and the two women who are accompanying him are the female friends from high school.
All right.
Because one of them is tall and has the pigtails and the sad eyes that the other girl does, and then one of them is short and has wavy hair like the other girl. I don't remember the girls' names or the guys' names in the present day,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
yeah. So not only are Rune and Futa and Coco going to be reappearing in all these timelines, but also his friends from high school are going to be appearing as well. It seems, because they already have in one timeline.
Interesting. So that make me really curious to see like what other timelines that they have encounters. I think that basically just the main draws of reading this.
Yeah,
Uh,
it really is. Like it's pretty much just about the mystery. Just about how all this is going to get tied together. Like I don't know if I really like the characters that much. I kind of like the main character. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he seems I don't know. Seems kind of straightforward and a stand-up guy. Like he tries his best to reason to work his way mentally through this situation that he's found himself in. He tries to reason with Coco and like
Mm-hmm.
try to understand where she's coming from, even though he can't possibly do that because he hasn't seen enough of his past yet. He's still in the dark. But he takes it as a matter of fact that he's going to have to go through all these hoops, jump through these hoops and see what his past has in store for him, because that's what she wants, and he recognizes that she's the one with the power in this situation. So he's kind of navigating his way through this situation in a way that I appreciate. Like he's not just getting angry about it or being belligerent about it or being like, I'm just gonna kill you. I just want to live. Something like that.
Yep. I do think that the comedy that this first volume have is really on point. I really like the comedy.
The comedy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of one where Coco trying to kill him or like just exercise his soul, and he
Right.
just kind of like just standing there when his leg is like hurt, and I just say like you're not hurting me at all. I don't feel hurt. You're not pushing me to the stair door. What you were talking about, like that. I think I thought that was funny.
You're talking about the scene where he drops the crutches and he's like, I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah. That one,
Yeah.
and
And then he
then
falls
he
down on the
couldn't
ground in
stand anymore.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm talking about when I say that he's like he's trying his best to navigate his circumstances.
Mhm.
Like he understands that this girl's like she knows way more than he does, and she's way more powerful than he is. So he's in that moment like what's the best way that he can show her that he's even though he's obviously at her mercy, he still wants to show her that he's not just like going to get pushed over. So he does
Mhm.
that, and then obviously it it doesn't work out.
Yep. Do you think that the timeline where he was a hero and then he was cursed after killing the witch is the original timeline? By that I
Probably.
mean like
Wait,
it's the time where yep. You go on.
no, you. I just said wait because like kind of to myself because I just
Yeah,
remembered
all right.
something. But you go ahead.
Yeah, because that was the time where the witch cursed him and put the curse mark in his cheek,
Right.
and that kind of like follow him for another timelines, and I remember like from that point on in the other timeline he can see spirit and ghosts and stuff.
That's true. But did he have that mark on his cheek in the original? In when he was Fone in the jungle?
Yes, yeah, yeah, he did,
He did.
and
Okay.
and and,
Okay.
and he kind of see the spirit there as well.
Okay. So yes, I suppose that what we've just seen is the original timeline. So we're
Hmm.
not going to get any sort of weird light novel esque reverse timeline thing where we get the original one at the very end. Nothing on that level.
Or maybe not. We don't really know that for sure.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I mean, as you said, I think we can reasonably infer that this is the original timeline because he's been branded in this one, and then we're probably going to
Yep.
see that. I mean, maybe in one of his past lives he won't have that mark
Yep.
um,
I
on his
don't know
cheek,
if
and
he
then we'll
had
be
that
like,
mark.
"Whoa, is this the original one?"
I don't know if he had that mark when he was Fonet
That's what I was asking. Does he have
with
that
the
mark as
forest.
Fone?
I just know that he can see the spirit at that time life. Not sure if he
Right.
had that mark or not.
All
Okay.
right.
Had to go and check it after we done with the podcast.
I'm actually doing that right now.
Cool, cool, cool.
All right, so you just scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and I'm almost there. And okay. No, he does not.
Huh, alright.
He does not have a
Interesting.
brand on his cheek as Phone
Hmm.
or
Alright.
Phone. I don't know.
Foot.
I don't know how to say any of these names. Um, yeah, so I do think that Rune or Rune is actually Ray. Um, because
Mm-hmm.
she do you remember I think it was chapter 5 or maybe chapter 4 where Rune is wearing that like German kind of maiden outfit or Dutch outfit
Mm-hmm.
with the skirt
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
the
Cosplaying.
yeah kind of it that's a very popular cosplay outfit. It's like she's got the corset and the skirt and
Yep.
the it's kind of like a bandana thing that she's wearing. I don't know how to describe clothes just in general. But she wears that dress, and then um, wait a minute, didn't she say something about where he got that outfit or no? Anyway,
I don't
Ray wears the
remember that.
exact same. She wears the exact same outfit in the flashback, in the van flashback, and I think there's something about like she sings a similar song as well.
Hmm.
That's something that I've noticed. Rune, the song that she's singing, it's like a sea shanty type of traditional folk song.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear him singing it or another character singing it at a certain point during the van flashback. So I have to imagine that there are going to be
Hmm.
tons of links between all the different timelines for us to catch. And if
Yep.
if these early chapters are anything to go by, I think music is going to like songs and music in general are going to be some common ones.
Hmm. I
So yeah, I
actually
do think they are the same person.
yeah. I really like Late and his and her like her relationship with the main characters for now. I just feel like that the spirit of like that we see in the present day, it have a lot Rune it has a lot of fan service in there. She had big boobs, she
Yeah.
kind of
She calls him master.
something like that. She call him master, and apparently he can touch her.
Yeah, he can touch her. So if he tries to get handsy with you, just come over and live with us instead. Yeah. But I mean, this series is very obviously geared at boys.
Yeah.
You know, there's the scene where all the guys are talking about the girls' figures and their swimsuits, and there's
Yep.
also the scene where they're talking a little bit about getting a computer, like for
Mm-hmm.
35,000 yen. Uh,
Yep.
you know, and from the tone of the conversation, like the way it's led into, I can't remember the exact like phrase, but you can tell the reason that they're interested in getting a computer is so they can look at porn.
Yep.
That's the whole gist of the conversation that they're having. And like there's a nostalgic line in there about oh yeah, you know, our conversations may be off color, but I just want to, you know, while away my time with my friends in an uncomplicated manner. Like I don't want all this
Yep.
extra life,
Yep.
like past life stuff to be weighing on my mind all the time. So like, you know, and anime does this, especially older anime, and I kind of get the sense from Spirit Circle that like Mizukami, the mangaka, kind of subscribes to that idea that like, you know, the puberty for boys is like such a special time, you know, like you're
Yeah.
discovering who you are
I
as a man, and all of a sudden you're noticing women, and it's like, whoa, you're having this awakening, and it's so nostalgic and rose colored and like youthful and stuff.
Yeah, I think his father, the main character father, actually said that
Yeah,
all this with that manner, you know.
yeah. It's a common attitude that you like. The older the anime is that you watch, the more you notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I you know I think that Mizukami probably buys into that, you know. And I don't judge. I use like a silly kind of sarcastic voice when I talk about it, but I understand that this, you know, this Spirit Circle is a fairly recent manga. It's like only, I don't know, how old is it? 10 years old, something like that. Um,
Um, 2012, so it's not actually that old.
okay, well 9 years.
Oh no,
Um,
9 years.
yeah.
Here you go.
So it's not that old, but I also don't feel the need to make excuses for it. Like it comes from a different culture, and it, you know, there are different set of values, and even setting aside cultural differences and differences in like time and place, so people just have different, you know, ideas about
Mm-hmm.
what you know
Yeah.
what's okay and what's not, and what's you know, what makes them nostalgic, and it's fine.
Yeah. I I can see your point. Well,
Yeah, like
I
for
think
After the
this.
Rain, you remember how much I liked After the Rain?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you got people in every corner of the internet saying, you know, all their reviews of the show are like, this show had a really problematic premise, but it really navigated it gracefully, and it
Yep.
ended up not going too far over the line, like obligatorily saying this as if it needs to be said. Like just comment on the show itself. You don't have to tap dance around
That
every.
that's all right. That's one way to commend the show. I think, like the way it's approached the team. I still think it's appropriate.
Yeah, but when people talk about it that way, what they're doing is putting it through their own filter, like up front at the start, and
Yep.
all of their opinions
Yep.
about it are based on, well, here's what I find acceptable, and the show did a
Yep.
good job not being unacceptable in my opinion. It's
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
really feel like that's necessary.
I see
Um,
your point there.
and so for Spirit Circle as well, like it's very juvenile, it's very, you know, it's very male gazy, to use a sort of like critical term, I guess.
Mm.
But I'm okay with that. It's all right.
Yep.
It's not, you know, it's
Yeah,
a
I'm
it's a
okay.
story. It's not hurting anybody, and that's not to say that there aren't stories that like can do serious damage,
Mm-hmm.
by like depicting stuff inappropriately. Like that's a very that is a real problem, and I think you see it a lot in like isekai sorts of stuff where the characters are like they have slaves, and I, I I mean I guess that's the main the main one that's on my mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
apologize, like slavery apologia, like oh it's okay. The character wants to serve the MC. It's the
Yep.
that's pretty fucked, but
Yep. Well,
I suppose that even me saying that is just imposing my own values on the show.
yep. That's right.
What a
So
tangent that I just went
yes.
on.
Yep. So the show, the manga now is a bit confusing with like four different timelines, but seen by they based on the same characters, and they're all working forward to like its themes, like of the field, the fight between the main two main characters is not that confusing at all.
Yeah,
And
I feel like it's relatively straightforward, and maybe that's just because I took a bunch of
mm,
notes. But
yep.
yeah,
Mm,
I mean the fact that the main character is branded so we can always recognize him.
mm,
The fact that there's this main duo or even trio, depending on the Rune and Ray theory.
yep.
That they're going to be appearing all the time. Some of the other characters are going to be recurring as well. And just in general, the premise, you have to die 7 more times. You have to
Yep.
see 7 more of your past lives. That's like the show or the manga has really laid out where we're going,
Yep.
and it does divert
And
from
I'm
that.
really looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
I just don't know if we have a. I think this is a time so that like the last volume gonna be wrap up everything and like put everything into perspective. So that just means that maybe 2 to 5 is not that much to talk about, but I think we will figure that out when we get to this.
I can see your point. Yeah, like volumes 2 through 5. So are there 6 volumes? Is that right?
Yeah, there are
Okay.
6 volumes.
Yeah, so volumes 2 through 5 might, when we go over them, like to discuss them. What you're saying is like there might not be that much to discuss. It's just the process of learning
Yeah,
it that will
that's
provide most
right.
of the intrigue, and there won't be a lot to dig into. Well, I think you might be right. I don't want to make that judgment yet,
Yeah.
but I can certainly see where you're getting that idea. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, this seems very plot driven, so that's a risk
Yeah.
there.
And
I
I
do
figure
kind of get a
like
cool vibe from the manga though so far. Like I
mhm,
in general I like the characters. I don't think there's a lot of good character work being done. This is
yep,
not a Taiyo Matsumoto manga,
yep,
but I think the characters are likable.
yep. And it's a fun ride so far to see like how his past life gonna be and how it's affect him and his relationship with that girl in this timeline.
Yeah. I think the interplay between the timelines is going to I think that might provide enough for us to talk about.
Yep.
And as long as the story adds in a few twists and turns here and there, we can be like, "Oh, what's this?
Mhm.
Is this person that other person, or what did did that happen in like 200 BC or 4000
Yep.
AD?" Like stuff like that,
Hmm. Hmm.
Hopefully we get some of that.
All right. You have any other notes on Spirit Circle before uh, we give like a closing thought?
No, I'm pretty much exhausted after my weird tirade about not judging stuff based on your own your own personal values. Got nothing else to say.
That's a good one right there. So listener, if you make it to like the the night the like 110 minutes of the podcast,
Oh my God.
You will hear like a profound dissection of critical reviewed something
Yes.
by Whooper, by
Very
Dr.
deep.
Whooper.
Very deep.
All right, guys. So for the next podcast gonna be in 2 weeks, and we will figure out what themes or what topic we're gonna say about that.
Yeah, I think it's
But
going to be films, like a double feature.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll
But
figure it out.
second volume of Spirit Circle for sure.
Yes.
So head on to this.
Yep, we will we'll see you then.
All right. See you guys. See you in 2 weeks. Enjoy the Valentine.